Hello and welcome to my tutorial to the Key Killbox. I was asked to make this tutorial, so here it is. Killboxes are a thing in Rimworld. Some people like them, some people hate them. Depending on what you do, you can use this killbox or use any other killbox, or not use the killbox at all, but if you decide to use this particular one, here is a tutorial how to use it, what it can do, and what its strengths and weaknesses. First of all, I discovered this killbox more or less by accident. So I was basically just building a long hallway for people to shoot in, and I was trying to figure out how I can just slow down these people. And then I learned that doors, actually held open doors, slow down people a lot. And that's the essence of the whole killbox. It's a very long hallway based on the weapons that you're using. And there are a lot of doors in there to slow down the people. And that works actually pretty well, I noticed. It works so well that I can handle any size raid with that killbox, even 20 centipedes or a big pirate raid or whatever comes in, this killbox can handle it. There's some good sides about this killbox, there's some downsides to this killbox. We get to the details later on, but I'll show you like a standard raid and what's happening. What I like about this killbox is that it is a fair killbox, so there's no cheating happening here like in the Singularity killbox, where you can place your pawns in a way that they can no longer be attacked. That's not happening here. Your people can get damaged. They probably will get damaged, can even die if you have the wrong enemy, so it's fair. There's also no other cheating happening here. There's no throwing over the wall. There's no shooting through walls or any other shenanigans. It's basically just a very fair, uncheaty killbox, or at least what I consider uncheaty. Some people might consider every killbox cheaty, but well, you can play the Rimworld as you want to play it. There's no need to use a killbox, but you can. Also, this killbox is very flexible. It's a very simple setup. As I said, it's just a long hallway. It's just the approximate setup here. And you can integrate it in whatever base you have. You can modify to whatever weapon your pawns are using. Here I set them up with assault rifles, but it's not necessary to use assault rifles. You can use any other weapon in the game. Also works fine, as long as it's a shooting weapon, obviously, but I think that's clear because that's a shooting range. So, well, you can't melee at range, so you need to have any kind of weapon. And just to give you an idea what you see here, these plasteel walls, they don't have to be plasteel. You can just build the whole thing out of wood if you really wanted to, but I just used this for demonstrational purposes. Everything that's plasteel is the part of the killbox that will get damaged a lot, including these doors in between. Everything that's made out of slate, the black stuff here, is the rest of the killbox. And everything outside I made it with granite here. It's just a demonstration of a base that you could have. I obviously didn't build a full base for this demonstration. This is just a dev tool doing things. But here would be your base. You could use this killbox inside your base. You can put it at a wall. You can put it wherever you want. As I said, it's very flexible. And what's another good thing, it doesn't really need that many people. We have 10 colonists here defending, and you might say, okay, 10 colonists, what kind of raid size can you defend with 10 colonists? And the answer is any kind of raid size. It doesn't matter what comes in, they can handle it. Of course, these are pretty badly equipped that I did for demonstrational purposes, so they have some kind of random closes. I gave the ones in the front a flag vest. The ones in the back actually don't have that because they don't get damaged at all. They have an excellent assault rifle, which is like easy to get at this point in the game, and they don't have any extraordinary skills. They're just simple shooting skills of 12. They don't have any special traits. These are simply standard, even actually weak pawns, considering the raid size that we'll send in, but they can handle it. It's gonna be fine, and that's the good thing about the killbox. You don't need any special setup, you don't need any special pawns, you don't need anything special. It always somehow works. But before I give you a very long speech on the details, let's actually see the killbox in action. So as you can see, I spawned in some pirates. This is like the worst kind of raid you can possibly get. It's a 10k raid points raid, so they have doomsday rockets, they have normal rocket launchers, they have grenades, they have everything you can imagine. And if you send these many pirates against a standard colony of these guys, as I said, they're not very particularly strong in any way. They don't have bad armor, but weapons, but shooting skills for this kind of raid. This raid would actually kill them, usually. However, with the killbox in place, That shouldn't happen. And this is like the worst kind of raid you can possibly get. I'll show another one later, but this is like the very dangerous ones that usually wipe out your colony. But even with these pawns, you can easily handle that, and the killbox will make sure nobody dies, or at least doesn't get damaged too much. So let's see what happens. They advance to the point here, and then they walk into the killbox, and people start shooting as you would expect from killbox. There we go. People get damaged, people die, they try to fight back. As I said, you've seen them shooting. They will actually shoot in, as you can see, they can actually hit the colonist. You got a little hit here. So as I said, it's not a cheaty killbox. Your people are in actual danger. But as this is pretty safe, I can just get the doctor walk over here, tend this guy in the middle of combat. Of course, you will have more doctors, you have more colonists who could do this at this point. Just to show you, even though they can get hit, there you can just tend them in between. Now here we have the next thing happening. We'll see in a moment. Oh, there's a shield bubble. Shield bubble, of course, is the problem because these guys can now hit us, but we can't hit back. Now there are a few things you can do at this point. You can move your colonists aside, let them come a little closer, but obviously that's not optimal. And this is where Mr. EMP comes in. I just tell him to throw a grenade. It doesn't really have to be this corner anyway, in here, just inside the shield bubble. And watch what's happening. The shield just collapses. Oh, he just built immediately a new one, but that's not a problem, as I said. Boom, shield's gone. How does it work? Well, this bubble is actually placed here, and this MP guy cannot throw inside this area, but the bubble itself has the circle around, and the circle is the area that you can hit with an EMP to destroy the bubble. So even though this guy is in a completely different room and is completely safe from any attacks, he can still destroy the shield bubbles. But now let's see how the colonists are doing. There's some medical treatment necessary. So as you can see, these colonists are damaged. As I said, they're not invincible. While we have the doctor patching them up, I hope they still have enough medical ability. And it's working fine. So, one got hit. As I said, it's not safe for them. Let's undraft him for a moment. He's named Ouch for a reason. Picked up new stuff, and we can patch in between. Was a pretty good hit. So as you can see, they have a lot of work to do. And of course, you can, in between, withdraw your colonist. You can say, okay, this guy is too damaged. He has lost a toe. Oh my god, can't have him lose a toe. So I can just undraft him, get in some other colonist. That's perfectly possible. No, you grab some more medicine before you go. Yes, please. So you can undraft them at any time if you want to. If you see they're too damaged, that's perfectly okay. There's no need to keep them here until they die, as I do it for demonstrational purposes, because also I don't have any backup colonists. So let's see what's happening here. Still waiting for the guy with the Doomsday launcher. So let's see if he comes in a moment. He's patching it up just fine. And then let's see what happens when the Doomsday guy comes in. So I fast forwarded a bit to the part where the guy with the Doomsday and the rocket launcher is coming in. As you can see, our colonists are pretty bruised by now. There are a lot of hits, a lot of damage they took. But as I said, they're not invincible. This is what is to be expected, so they have to have armor. I'm just showing them here without armor to see that even without any strong armor, any marine armor, you still can handle even the worst kind of raids. But of course, the more armor you have, the less casualties you will have, less damage you will have. So if these guys would be wearing marine armor or anything like that right now, they're probably not being damaged at all. But let's see what's happening if Mr. Doomsday is walking into the killbox now. Here he comes. And now, of course, if I can see this guy, I know he's there, he's firing, I can tell the people here to just say, okay, let's focus this particular guy, because I really don't like him, and they'll do that, and hopefully kill him in time. And he's aiming, and he's dead. Oh. This guy here is a rocket launcher. I'm not telling them to actually shoot at them because he's like the first guy in the row. Ah, he just died. So as you can see, even though they had a very dangerous weapon, they could easily handle that. And even if they would have fired their Doomsday or their rocket launcher, then it would most likely have hit the plastic walls and not actually damaged any colonists. Technically, they can hit the colonists. I have this happen on a very rare occasion, but it's like a 1 in a million shot. There was another bubble that immediately got destroyed. So, as I said, even a Doomsday can hit here, but it's extremely unlikely. Like 99.9% of our Doomsdays just slam into the wall at some point here. Get soaked by the wall. Of course, the walls get damaged. That's something that happens. But the Doomsday is averted. And as you can see, almost all the raid is done. So, as I said, I fast forward a bit so I didn't see the whole fight, but it's just a demonstrational purpose. You can watch people getting killed in Rimworld using this Killbox the whole time if you want to. This is just so you can see this thing in action. I'm actually surprised they didn't give up yet. They still think they can do it. Well, I have bad news for you guys. You probably won't be able to finish this. And now they're walking away. Yep, and there they go. So as you can see, the Killbox handled the worst raid possible with just 10 guys in bad armor with average weapons and skills. So there was no cheating involved, there was no tricking involved. This is just how the Killbox works, how much damage it can soak. But here you can also see the downside of the Killbox. As I said, it's not a Killbox that's doing perfectly everything, so there's always a downside. And the downside here is that the Killbox soaks a lot of the damage. The walls are very damaged. Somebody has to repair all this. Even if these break down, then these don't have any cover anymore. You need to move them anywhere else. But that's not that much of a problem. Even if these walls get destroyed, if there was like, let's say this wall get destroyed and the people could walk in here now, that wouldn't happen because look how far they can actually travel here. This is about where they can travel because they have a target above there. They attack that target and they completely ignore the fact that there's room to the left and the right. And what would they get out of this room? They can't get any further because there are the doors here that block them off. So worst kind of scenario, they could get Mr. EMP guy, but since he's standing out of line of sight, they usually will not attack him. It would be very rare occasion that they actually attack him. So now I can undraft my colonists, get them bed to bed, get them some food, which I'll probably take. But now they start actually repairing the Killbox, and as you can see, there's a lot of repairing necessary here. I usually have my colonists like at least 4 or 6 of them in construction. And as you can see, it's absolutely necessary. To patch up the Killbox for the next fight takes a moment, but usually, even during ship raids, that you can usually handle that. You can actually just build a second one if you really want to, but there is no need to build a second one if you don't really want to. You can do it for safety if you want to have an extra Killbox. Just, I don't know, maybe get too many people, maybe it gets destroyed, maybe Doomsday gets to destroy the wall, and then you can collect all the loot that conveniently happens to land in this room here where it's safe. You can just collect. You can actually have colonists collect all the loot that's not outside the Killbox. Well, so much for the worst kind of raid. Let me show you something else. What's the other worst kind of raid you can possibly get? So I spawned in some mechs now. These are all scythers. I tend to call them skitters because scyther is difficult to pronounce. I just reset the simulation, so everything is repaired. People are back in place. This is just to show you like what's another worst case scenario for this Killbox, because these are all melee guys. These all have very high armor, and they will not stop for anything. But when they get your colonists killed, this is a problem here. So let me just get these people to attack. They will eventually overflow the Killbox, of course, thanks to the turret. They will have to stop here. They come in one after another, and the first guys are getting killed. This is the easy part because these are not shooting. They can't fight back. But as you can see, they advance further and further, and eventually they'll get to a point where they're actually able to hit your colonists. There are several ways you can handle this. First of all, you can have these guys well armored and probably with a good melee skill, which is not the case here. And the second is obviously EMP. There are two ways you can handle the EMP thing. You can get Mr. EMP just to stand here in place of, let's say, Mr. Ouch, and just throw the EMP down the row and hope that's enough. But I think that's not necessary. There's another thing you can do here. Let me show you in a moment. So what I did was to tell Mr. EMP to throw a grenade actually to this place. This, of course, is one of the things you can do. As I said, this Killbox is very flexible, and I just, for this demonstration, decided for this one, because the EMP would actually, if they had any implants, also hit your colonists and disable any kind of implants they have. Like if they have a brain implant, they would just get down from the EMP. This is obviously not a thing you want to do. If those people are having implants, then you would want them in the front line throwing the grenades, but here they don't have any implants, so I can just let them throw the grenade to this particular place. And as you can see, they're pretty good at keeping them off. So if you have like 10 visors, 20, even 30 visors, it's not a problem with the Killbox. But if you have this many, as you remember, it was 66 initially, now we're down to 39, they'll eventually advance to the front line. But just see how many of them they can take out before they can even get to the point. Now you can see the first Scyther has arrived. It's badly injured actually. And yet still it's not exactly in range, but the EMP will take him out. So far we destroyed from the 66, well, a good chunk of them. But now the Scyther is getting into range, and hopefully the EMP will stun him. And there we go. You of course attack the first colonist, and now he's stunned. Now the thing is, this costs us a bit of DPS because these guys can no longer shoot. But if this guy is stunned here, as you can see now he's blocking. Oh well, he immediately died. But this guy will now block everybody behind him. So if this guy is stunned, this guy can no longer advance. He's also stunned. So now you can just hope they'll deal with it, or you can just say, okay guys, prioritize these people please. They're very dangerously close. Kill them first. As you can see, then again with the EMP, this is held up. Now you might be wondering, why is it actually so effective? And this is a good way of showing why it's such an effective Killbox. And it's because they do a lot of collateral damage. As you can see here, they hit all these mechs, even down to this one. And the point is they're aiming actually not at the mech in front, they're aiming at some mech that's optimal to their shooting distance. So the assault rifle, if you take a look at that, has an accuracy best at around 12 distance. So they'll select an enemy that's maybe here, who knows, and shoot at that enemy. So they shoot at their maximum accuracy that they can possibly have, depending on the weapon, depending on their skill. And everything in between, every other hit, like this Scyther got hit, and this Scyther got hit, this is all collateral damage. Why is that important? Because usually, if you take your colonists and say, hey guys, please fire, let's say, at this guy. Like, I wanted to kill this guy because he's very in front. He's already pretty damaged, but I want him to be dead. Now look, watch closely what happens. They fire, and they stop firing. It was like a few shots necessary to kill this Scyther, and even though I told everybody to shoot at him, like, I think these two guys shot, and then he died, and then everybody stopped. Now that's a lot of DPS that was lost this way. So 2 guys fired, everyone else just did nothing for a few seconds. So no damage was applied anywhere. And that's a big problem with most of the Killboxes. And that's the very secret of this Killbox, why it's so effective. Usually that doesn't happen. Because they're shooting down the entire row, hitting everybody, most of them with collateral, then most of the time enemies are hit by collateral spray bullets. They keep shooting because their actual target, which might be this Scyther behind here, is not dead. So they do the full rounds of their attack, they apply the full DPS as much as they can, and everybody else gets hit in by spray bullets, by collateral damage, by just bullets not hitting their actual target. But the damage isn't lost. And now you see, we solved the whole problem. Mr. Sacrifice got a bit damaged. Oh, he lost an eye. Oh, well, who needs an eye? So you can send it to the doctor. And as I said again, it's not that they are invincible, but keep in mind, I intentionally gave them very bad armor for this kind of raids, and yet still they handled it gracefully. The colony is saved, everybody's dead. And now lots of repairing as before. And if you wonder who actually did all this damage, this is another side effect of the kill box. That's damage from your own pawns, because every shot they miss also ends up some wall. So this is what's causing most of the repair task here. And this can also cause some friendly fire. So also keep in mind, if you use weapons like a charge lens or anything that does a lot of high damage, then it's possible that they actually hit your own colonists. And now how to actually build the kill box. As I said before, it's a very easy kill box, so there's no trick to it, there's nothing special you need to know. You can use it with any kind of weapon. In fact, let's take a special weapon, the LMG, which I like a lot. It's not a very good weapon in general, but hey, I like it. The first thing you do is you take your weapon of choice and see, okay, what's the range of the weapon? It's 26. So we build the next kill box just aside of it. We take our planner tool, and as I said, 26 is the range of the weapon, so we make just 26 long. As you can see, it's 26 tiles. This is what we do. Now I'm taking parts from here so you can see the same. This is the head of the kill box where your people are standing, and this would be the entrance of the kill box. You can build it to the left or to the right, it doesn't really matter. I just copy what we have on the other side, so I build it to the left, and then we just fill in the details. So now it depends on how many colonists do you actually have. So in this example, I had 10 colonists, which is like, you can add more if you want to, like 10 are usually sufficient. As you have seen, they can handle any kind of raid size. And maybe you want to add 12, that's also fine. But let's say you have a colony with only 5 people. So we would have 5 spots for them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You always build them like that, and for symmetry we just built another one, so we have 6 spots. So this is the hiding place for the colonists. For every colonist you build one of these walls, and that's all you need to do. Then we fill in the rest like this. Of course, I'm doing it with a dev tool now, so it's a bit faster, so we don't have to wait all the time. As I said, this doesn't have to be plasteel. I'm just using plasteel here to show like kind of an optimal placement. You can also do it with any kind of stone, anything that's resilient. Wood, if you have nothing else, also works fine. But of course, if you have a wooden kill box, there are a lot of things that could go wrong, like the thing catching on fire or just being destroyed easily. And then we build the stuff around. I always like to build a bit of a box around. It doesn't really matter, like you can make it any size you want to. I usually tend to make it like a 3 size. It gives enough walking speed, walking size. And so you can have a few more things. Now we do the same thing down here, as you can see on the left. We build a little entrance, and the entrance is just enough size to have the following things. First of all, we need a barricade at this point. This is actually very important, because if this one wouldn't be in place, then enemies could stand at this point and just use that as cover. Let me show you quickly. I'm taking a colonist over here, and if this plasteel thing isn't in effect, I'll show you what would happen. You could go here and start shooting from this point, use this one as cover. Let's say you have your faithful guy. Let's have him walk there in a moment. If you have this plasteel barricade in place, then where is it? Let's take this one. You can say I can no longer tell him to go here. I'm right-clicking the button. I can tell him to go here. That's not a problem. I can tell him here, but I can't tell him to get this point here because, well, there's a barricade in the way. And from there, I just built 2 of these fences. Could be, and it could even be barricades again. This is just so people get slowed down a little. This has the effect of separating the raid and just making sure you don't get all of them at once, just giving you a bit of distance between each raider coming in. And now the next thing that you need to do, and that's the secret of the entire kill box, we fill this up with doors. just like that. There's nothing special about these doors, just simple normal doors. As I said, I'm using plastic here just to emphasize which part of the kill box gets damaged the most. And then I select the doors and I say, keep them, hold open. I just put this gun in position for a demonstration we're doing in a moment. So Mr. Jekyll, who I told to go over here, will now walk here and open all the kill box doors. That might take a while, but you need to have them open, otherwise raiders won't be coming in. So now we have the skill box ready, and as you can see already why it's called a key kill box, because it kind of looks like a key. So protect your colonists a little. We put a few more barricades here. This one is actually the most important one. These are just for slightly additional protection, and I usually place them. It's not exactly necessary, but I just do them for good measure. Now the kill box is almost ready. As you can see, there's one difference here, and this whole thing here, this whole area is just meant to slow down everyone as much as you can. And I can show you in a moment like what will happen if I send a colonist to walk here. Let's see if we can get them in the right timing. Yeah, so they're at the same height now, and if I tell both of these guys to walk down this lane now, you can see immediately the difference in walking speed. Just watch closely. So they have the same base speed, but since there are doors and there's dirt and everything, this guy made it about a third of the distance this guy made in the same time. So all we built here is simply to slow them down. That's why we also have, as you can see here, soil below. We don't put any floors here because that slows them down again. And there's another thing you can do. You can just build a roof over this whole thing. So I'm quickly using the dev tools to make that a bit easier. Let's construct a roof. There we go. Otherwise, I would have just columnists build all the things and just prolong the explanation. So I just build a roof, and that makes it even slower for them to work because walk because they now have the where is it? Oh, need to actually update it a bit. So he's now in darkness. He's getting the darkness malus because he's now even slower. Actually, this is an undergrounder, so that's why he doesn't get the darkness debuff actually. But anyway, a normal pawn gets the darkness modifier that gives them lower walking speed and a lower chance to hit. So we just again slowed them down by just putting everything here with the roof, putting everything here in darkness. But of course, for your colonists, you don't want that. You want your colonists to be in the light, as I placed here. You can also take a torch, anything, whatever you have available. Let me just quickly place a torch here. And this thing will never get damaged. So as you've seen in the previous demonstration, the lamp didn't get damaged at all. But maybe you want to put a torch just in case if there's a solar flare or anything, that they still have light. So now as you can see here, just look in the corner here. If here's lit, here it's lit, here it's completely dark. So somehow an open door completely blocks the light. So while your colonists have full light available, the enemies are in complete darkness. You also can put more of them, like if you want to place them here or here, that's also perfectly fine. It's just important that these guys here have light and the enemies do not. So this would be already the whole kill box, if you can build it like that. But of course we need some way to enter the kill box. So let's say put a few doors here. Maybe that's for a colony. Also place a door here, but here it's a bit dangerous because then they would immediately walk in the line of fire. So I would not recommend to put a door there. Just put them at the sides. So this would be the complete kill box already. But as I said, if you look to the left, there are these side rooms, which are just convenience. They're not exactly necessary, but they make the whole thing a bit easier because if I build here, just again, it doesn't really matter what size they are. I just usually use 3. That just works fine. I just build a room here. And then, of course, these rooms need some doors. There we go. And now everything that is killed will spill out to the sides. You also have the option to tell your colonists to repair these walls, and they're completely protected from any kind of raiders that otherwise might be standing out here. And that's why I always build the sidewalls, even put in some light usually, so they can walk a little faster, so they don't get the darkness debuff, as I mentioned a moment ago. So like this. This would then be the complete kill box with a protective layer around. And everything from here is simply upgrades and really depend on your convenience. As you can see, this is a lot shorter. We made it shorter because you use a different weapon. You can also put other things in front here, like a longer entrance. You can even use this as a burning box if you want, and just heat these parts, these side floors up. Maybe just give it a double wall, and then you have like kind of a burning box that will heat up the people inside. These doors, even though they're open, are actually insulated. So even though, let's say, something here is burning, these people will not really feel it at this point. Might want to like maybe add a few things to cool it down just in case, or open this to the outside so it's automatically cooled, but you can also use it, as I said, as a burn box. Now there's also this turret, and as I said before, the turret's only purpose is to get people into combat. So it doesn't really matter where you place it, it just has to be somewhere near the entrance with a bit of distance so people can get in. So if I place it here or here or here, it doesn't really matter. Just let me place it here. So now it's important that the turret cannot be attacked because we don't want it to be destroyed. So we place a few doors around, and that's already enough. That would work just fine. But just for the looks, I just place a few more things around here. It's not necessary, as I said, these are just decorational. This is already enough. And then you need to, of course, make sure that the turret is fully powered. Now this one is powered because it has power from the side. And this is a crucial element. It might be an interesting idea to have like backup power somewhere. Let's do it like this. And then we can maybe just have a single line here. And we want to make sure that the raiders do not destroy your power lines, which they sometimes do. You can just put a wall above it, and now they completely ignore the power line, except for a few very special raiders. So as you can see here, this is already built a little different because whatever I felt like is, as I said, Killbox is very flexible. You can put it in any way you want, any shape you want, can put anything in front, could add burn boxes, could be longer waiting lines, whatever you want, you can just experiment with it. There's always some way to make this kill box fit your playthrough because it's, as I said, simply a hallway with doors, and as long as you can build a hallway with doors somehow into your colony, you can use this kill box. So this wraps it up. That's the tutorial for the kill box. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. I'll see if I can answer them. And if you have any other suggestions, feel free to assist. Maybe we can improve this kill box even further. As I said, it's a very simple thing. It's meant to be flexible. It's meant to be improvable. Maybe you have a wonderful idea to improve it. Maybe you see a problem that can be fixed. Feel free to say and add whatever you want in the comments.